Hey, and welcome back to Creatives in the Spotlight. I'm the show's creator and host, Paul Hurley, and today I have actress and attorney Jennifer Errington. Say hi, Jennifer.
Hello, everyone.
Now, Jennifer, you've been an actress for about how long?
About 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, apart from being an attorney, what inspired you to get into acting?
So my background is interesting in law. So I was trained as a litigator. I was doing family law, and then I reached a point where I didn't have any work-life balance. I couldn't stand it anymore, so I quit. Didn't have a plan. Thought I wasn't going to practice law. Then I took about 6 months and started doing creative things. I was figure skating, doing art. Wanted to try acting because there's actually a lot of crossover between acting and trial law. So I just wanted to figure out life, see what I wanted to do, and then landed a couple roles, some commercials, and the Spider-Man film, where I was lucky enough to meet you.
Yeah.
And that all kind of happened in about 6 or 8 months, and then I got into that, and then that inspired me to go back and open my firm and do sports and entertainment law.
I guess sometimes you got to have a break. You got to kind of step back, reset, regroup, get back in it. But
Right.
that's awesome that you were able to find that and get your inspiration back and get that gusto to move forward because, you and I both know you don't make a fortune in acting, but I think
Right.
you've also done some competition dancing as well.
So competitive ballroom dancing, like I said, figure skating. So I've always been in the arts, and I think as a creative like you and like me, when you have that passion, you love it, you never lose it. It's just sometimes it kind of goes away and you have to chase it, rediscover it, or it comes back to you. But if you have that love, it's always there. So it was rediscovering it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So probably what's your most favorite thing to do out of all the creative things that you've been involved in?
Well, I love acting. Like I said, there's a very cool crossover between trial law and acting. And that was the thing that I love most in law is when you go into a courtroom, you're telling your client's story. So everybody has a different story, different facts. You're finding out a way to present the case interestingly, captivating, persuasively. And it's a show. It is literally, it's a show. Yeah, you walk in and you have a jury, you're the judge, and you really have to sell your client's story, and you do have to put on that show. So that was, I think, a really cool crossover, and those skills and experience is something that I just love doing. If it's professional, if it's hobby, and if I'm lucky enough to make acting a full-time career, that'd be amazing. But it's a big passion.
Ultimately, all of us really want to be able to do that and sustain a nice living. But,
Right.
Getting started, it's tough.
Right.
It's tough. You got to build a resume, and there's a lot of stuff that you end up doing pro bono.
Right.
But in the long run, you're building that resume and you're, getting in touch and networking because there's so much that can be done in networking.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are like, man, every time I see you, you're in this or you're in that or and I'm like, I know people,
Right.
and
Right.
that's the thing. If you go into it with an open mind and an open heart and just be yourself and, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit that right click and you're going to meet this guy that's going to be on this set that says, hey, I know a guy, and then brings you onto that set. And that's pretty much how I got started.
Right. And it's building relationships too, and it's forming friendships, relationships. And what I love, one of the many things I love about acting is you have friends for life. And It's not work colleagues. It's not an artificial environment. It is work, but it's fun. And I mean, when you're going through the process together and you're pushing each other's boundaries and you're being vulnerable and you're being emotional and connecting as a character, and then you go out and celebrate after a great day of shooting and you have fun and get dinner, drinks, whatever, like that's such a cool way to form relationships and those bonds for life. And then that kind of is a way to get additional work, but find a lot of meaning.
I find a lot of people say that, it's like your film family. And once you're on a project, you're like a family because you all come together 9 times out of 10, you put your differences aside, whether it be political or, religion or what have you. That's things that we leave offset because you can easily ruffle feathers that way. And I've done it and I've learned the hard way because I'm kind of hard-headed. I'm Libra, like yourself.
No, okay.
Like yourself. Now,
Wait, are you September, October?
I'm October.
That's why.
Yeah, I'm late October. You're the nice Libra. I'm the outspoken butthole. But apart from that, you do entertainment law as well, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I got into the industry with my own endeavors, I realized that so much of the Charlotte community and many actors and production companies, if you're on either side, they don't have representation. They don't have somebody who's understanding the process, looking over contracts and making sure that their rights are protected. And when you come onto a project, everybody wants to work together. Everybody's really gung ho. They want a good experience and collaboration. They want a good film. So sometimes they'll just jump over the legals entirely, or they don't want to make it awkward by backtracking and going, if you're with friends or colleagues, saying, hey, we actually need to do a contract to preserve and make sure that everything's protected. And just realized that a lot of people were getting bad deals and taken advantage of, and intellectual property is part of that as well. So there's all these facets of the creative space that people were just not getting advocation for. So
that's the thing. There's a lot of it in the industry.
Yeah.
Because, most of these films have low to no budgets.
Right.
And, they want you to sign on and do this, that, and the other. And then you go back and look at it, and so-and-so made $50,000 off this film and you made squat, and it's like, wait a minute.
Right.
Because that's happened to me.
Right.
But not anymore. So I've gotten to where I've kind of started to control that a little bit more. But,
Right.
and just starting out, you really don't have a whole lot of say, because you can easily be replaced by the next guy. And it's very competitive. A lot of people, and I've even been asked, you'll see something on Facebook, a director posts that he's looking for somebody or whatever. And if I see like 5 or 6 people that I know have put in for it, I won't even touch it. Mm-hmm. Even if I get tagged in it, like, why don't you audition for this? And I'm like, look, I've got so much else going on right now. And I see other people that I know that are good actors that would probably fit that part fantastically. I don't mind stepping back and let them do it. And they're like, why? Like, look, the director already knows me. If he thought I was a good fit for the part, then he would have just reached out to me instead of posting. He's looking for a new face. And I said, I want to be able to step back and say, hey, go for it. And I want to encourage that. And that's kind of what this show was about, was, featuring different actors, actresses, directors, camera guys, everything in the film industry. I want to help promote who they are, what they do. And, hopefully somebody will see it and say, hey, I want to try this guy out, or gal, whatever.
Right.
And go on from there. But there's so much talent here that, I don't want to hog the pie. I want everybody to get a slice, and I enjoy it. It with my schedule, if I've got time to jump in and do something, I'm going to. And like I said, if the director thought I was a good fit, he would have just reached out to me directly,
Mm-hmm.
And some of them want you to compete for it.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to compete.
Right.
I enjoy doing it because it's fun. But if I've got to jump in there and compete and fight for it, let somebody else have it.
And that's one of the things that I really love about the Charlotte creative community is everybody, for the most part, is very supportive, but it's limitless. And that's the beauty of having a creative space, is that you don't have to fight for a piece. It's not finite, that only certain roles exist for you or for me, or if I don't get it, then I won't get work. Yes, it is competitive just because there's a supply and demand of projects and talent, but everybody can add to it, and you can collaborate, and you can create new things, and you can support each other. And if you have that mentality of creativity, that it is limitless, then you're not in that scarcity mindset where you're competing and you're making enemies, or you're making awkward, relationships. And it's just, it's a much more enjoyable experience.
Or hurting your relationships.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've seen some people get, and pardon the phrase, butthurt over, I can't believe you got that part I submitted for, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sorry, but I didn't make the decision.
And how much of this industry is rejection? It's like, that's a
rite of passage. And I've been rejected.
To get so comfortable with it, right?
And even in dating, I got to where I just wouldn't even ask people out, but because of fear of rejection. I'm the same way with acting. It's like, I really don't want to. In fact, my producer here, we did a self-tape in the studio for something that I was going for, and I got rejected. But, it comes with the territory.
And you know what? I think that if you get rejected, that's a really good sign.
It is. It humbles you.
It humbles you, and it tells you you're on the right path, because I mean, the odds of going out and just landing a role first off the bat, number one, are very low. It's not unheard of, but if you are out there, you're trying, if you're getting rejected, then you know that that means that you have to keep going forward. And that's just, that comes with the territory. So you're doing something right.
Whether it be development
Right.
or, being able to read the character, really get into it. There's so much to it that you have to work on and better yourself in. And I've gotten to where I hate self-tapes. 9 times out of 10, if I have to do one, I'm not going
Not going to do it. Yeah.
Forget it. It's like, look, you've seen my reels. You've seen what I can do.
Right.
If that's not good enough,
Just hire me or not, but I'm good.
And I'm like Barbie. I come with accessories. I got my own stuff. But, it's all about your budget. If you got it in your budget and you want to go a different route, go for it. You know? But if I got to do a self-tape, for some reason, I choke every time. But you get me in front of a camera with a script and I'm already that character, I'll nail it.
Right.
At least that's what everybody tells me. But a self-tape, if I'm just reading it for the first time in front of a camera and not in that situation, then I can't put myself there. And I don't know what it is. It's like,
what's the energy though? I mean, if you're on set, if you're in that group and you have, like you said, you have your director and you have your camera, your crew, whoever, it's you are part of that energy and that space. When it's just you and a blank canvas and your phone, it's like, oh my gosh, it's really hard to create that.
It's like when I'm in that, I'm feeling the vibe, living the vibe, and I become the vibe.
Right.
And it's like, I got to put on a show for these folks, but if it's just me and the phone, it's like,
and the crowd goes mild.
Right. So it's like, forget it.
Right.
But have you ever had that problem? You ever just choked on a self-tape or anything?
Yeah, like you said, it's I think being a performer and in law and being on that stage and you feed off the energy, and it's like if you're doing a live show versus a rehearsal, it's just not going to be the same. And so it's hard to do that. And when you are an extrovert, which I think you are, and probably everyone has elements of introvert and extrovert, but I'm like you, that I enjoy putting on the performance and putting on the show. So you kind of have to have that audience there to give you that energy and help you.
Well, then you get a lot of practice with that in the courtroom, because you're there presenting your case,
right?
Winning over the jury.
Right.
So that's actually probably the best training anybody could have.
Right.
You're there.
And there's no retakes. You're there with your client, and you have one chance to get it.
You know what's riding on it.
Exactly.
They're like, I don't want to go to jail. I got this.
Yeah. So
I hope so. Shh.
So it has to be pretty perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
that's awesome. So how does your family feel about your acting?
They love it. They love it. My brother's a producer. He has a production company here in Charlotte, Jennifer Errington, and he has always been in the creative space. And so my parents encouraged us always to chase our dreams. If it's creative, if it's professional, if it's a blend, that's wonderful. I mean, obviously, find a way to sustain yourself and make a living, but they said happiness, passion before anything. So
I could tell they were supportive. They were at the premiere.
They were,
and I got to speak to them briefly, and they seem like really awesome folks.
They're wonderful.
Yeah. And they're very supportive of you, and that's amazing. You have to have that in this industry, whether it be a significant other, your parents, immediate family, your circle.
Right.
Has got to be there and just kind of like, you can do this.
And not to find a way to support but not instill doubt. And it's, even if they think, well, that's an interesting choice, it's, well, work hard, do your best, find a way to make it work. We're here to support you if it doesn't, but maybe have a backup plan. And they would give me guidance, but not ever put a thought in my head where I'm like, why am I doing this? This doesn't make sense. Or
they're not
this
creating
is silly.
doubt.
No, yeah.
That's awesome.
And if you want to chase your dreams, I mean, you have to, you can have doubt, but it's hard when people put it in your mind versus we have enough self-doubt and enough self-confidence issues that it's, it's nice to have a great support network.
That is awesome. Yes, it is. It really is, because it'll make you and break you in this industry. If you get somebody that's always negative and creating doubt, you're never going to go anywhere.
Right.
Because you're already doubting yourself.
Right.
There's a lot of times where I go back and I watch something that I've been in and it's like, oh, I could have done that better or whatever.
Right.
And, there's times that it's actually caused me not to audition for things, apart from the self-tapes that I absolutely loathe. But, it is what it is.
And I think like when to compare it again to law, but like when I did my first court appearance, right? It was awkward and horrible, and I was so nervous, and now it's super easy. But you kind of have to say, when I get started, I know it's going to be rough. I know it's not going to be my best work because I'm learning. Like I'm uncut. I'm developing those skills and finding that talent and finding that flow and knowing how to jump into character and how to really sell a role. And so if you can give yourself some grace and some understanding that, I'm not going to necessarily nail it to how I want in my mind. And that's very different from other people too. What you have your standard in your mind for what you want to see you do versus what other people do. I mean, we're in a self-critical industry anyway. So we want to be top performers, nail it, do amazing, do the best. And there is a difference between what we think and what someone else does. So just having some grace and patience, the understanding you're going to grow, you're going to get better. Just being patient, I think, with yourself is important as you learn.
It is. And there's been times where I've worked with directors and I've gone in and I've nailed a scene on the first take and they're like, oh my God. And I even have to encourage them. I like, do a second take, right, just in case. Right. And then I'll do the second take and it'll be fantastic. But there's been times also I get in the front of the camera and I choke and it's like, oh, take 10.
Right.
Let's do it again.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. Just sometimes you're in the vibe and sometimes you're not. But,
right.
I guess it just comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm. And it's a flow. And it's, it's whatever else you have going on that day and just tapping into that. Like you said, I mean, sometimes you nail it and you have a clear head and a great day. And other days you've had something terrible happen or bad news and you have to go in and do your job. And that's in any job. I mean, I go in and some days I'm on it, some days I'm not, but you do your best. But understand that, we are human. This is an art form and art is... It's an ebb and flow.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, guys, we're going to take a short break, and we'll have a word from our sponsor, then we'll see you in just a minute.
Are you looking for a private photography studio? Noda Art House has lights, sets, props, and an infinity wall, all under one roof at one low price. Book now for full access.
Hey, we're back. That was just a word from our sponsor, the Noda Art House and the Noda Art House Foundation. Jennifer, we were just kind of chit-chatting here during our break. What is it else that you want to see come out of acting? I mean, do you really want to get to the point where you can just set the legal practice aside and hog the spotlight for a while, or what are you looking at?
I am a big proponent of having different things in your life at the same time. So I never like to go extreme where this is the only thing I want to do. Okay. I like having variety.
You like multitasking.
Multitasking, interesting things, a blend of intellectual stuff and creative stuff, physical. So I try and keep my life balanced that way. Mm-hmm. So I would love to pursue acting, entertainment, golf, influencing that area. Yeah, no,
it's
still going.
Been years since I played golf. You know how hard it is to find a left-hand set of clubs? Because everybody's got rights. I'm lefty, And I look online, it's like, clubs for sale. And I look at them, I'm like, those are right-handed clubs.
Well, just get your right and I'll come teach you. It's fine.
Well, I can play golf. Usually by the ninth hole, though, I'm a little...
Right.
That beer girl comes by and I'm like, hey!
Another one. Oh, I cannot play and drink at all, by the way.
18 hole, I'm like using the club to hold myself up. I think I hit it.
Yep. Got that 19th hole. Yep.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But no, I really enjoy it. I'd love to go to the driving range just to, work out some frustration. I do the whole Happy Gilmore run-up thing. But
oh, yeah.
No, I don't really. But I love it because it's relaxing. You get out there and you're playing, and it's just that's the only thing that matters at that moment. Mm-hmm. Turn your ringer off. The outside world doesn't exist. So no, I get the golf thing totally.
Yeah. So that stuff, and then I would love to have some clients and give back to the Charlotte community. And I'm hoping to wave in and start the New York bar, start that up, or the California bar. Maybe get another state and get some more clients. But I would love to pursue the creative stuff primarily.
Okay, good deal. Well, now that you've seen the studio here, maybe we can book in a couple things. And I think we've got several films coming up, don't we? Yeah. So I'll definitely keep you in mind as far as, if there's a role that you were interested in. That's the thing, 9 times out of 10, the director's like, oh, I know the perfect person for this. And then you present the role and it's like, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to be that person.
I get it. There's some roles that I'm like,
Right.
And there's some roles that I've taken that I didn't know the particulars to, and the next thing I knew, I'm dancing the, what was that?
dancing.
No, I was dancing. What dance is that? I had the whole rose in my mouth thing.
Tango?
Yes, I was
Whoa, look
dancing the
at you.
tango with
Okay.
another dude, and I was like,
That started great.
it started great. But yeah, I mean, and there was, I had no idea that was in the script, and it was funny though because a good director friend of mine was also on the set. He was an actor as well, and he's like, "You didn't say a word, but your face said it all." So I was like, "Huh? I gotta do what?"
You got those Shakira hips.
Right. I was, but no, I can dance the tango. I had a crash course right then, and it was fun. But yeah, I suggest getting a script. But, in the same token, had I seen the script, I probably would have said, "Oh, no, I don't want to do this, blah, blah, blah." But, I had a lot of fun. And now I can look back on it and laugh because it was one of those moments that, what the hell? But it was fun. It really was. But no, we'll keep you in mind. And, hopefully we'll have some roles come up. I know I got some NASCAR stuff coming up here pretty soon.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Get to drive the car.
Oh, look out. Okay.
But, and I was actually talking to somebody on Facebook today. My brother's mother. Now, my brother and I have the same father, different mothers, but I was talking to her earlier, and she's like, "Was that you?" Because a new trailer came out for a film that's coming out, and I think it premieres in August 9th. It's Under the Gun. And I got to do some stunt driving in my police car, prop car. And she saw the trailer, and she's like, "Is that you driving the car?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "You've always loved to go fast. It reminds me of when you were a little boy." And I was like, "Yeah." And then it hit me. I was like, my dad told me one time, he said, the very first sentence you ever said was in my 1968 Plymouth Roadrunner. And this car had the big 383 Hemi, and I mean, it was the classic muscle car. And the very first sentence I ever said was, "Punch it, Daddy." And he put that accelerator to the floor. He smoked the tires. That 383 was screaming. From that day forward, all I've wanted to do was go fast.
Well, you know what? That sounds like your next film title. So you better trademark that and start writing that. Just give me a role in it. We'll be good.
That sounds like a winner. We'll definitely do that. Well, Jennifer, is there any place where our followers can check you out and follow you online? Or?
Yeah, Instagram would be amazing. So my handle is my name, Jennifer A, then my last name, Errington, Errington. So Jennifer A. Errington. I have a separate firm account, so it's Errington Law, Errington LAW, and Facebook would be great. I'm not on TikTok so much, but Instagram would be awesome.
Okay, you hear that, guys? So check her out. Check out her law firm. And directors, hey, if you need a good attorney, I'm strongly going to suggest Jennifer here.
Holler at your girl.
Yeah, she'll take care of you. Well, Jennifer, again, it was so good to see you. Thank you again for coming on the show today.
Absolutely.
And guys, be sure to like and subscribe. We hope to see you again next week.